Hey guys, such an interesting video in Wild Rift. So we're back with a Senna commentary guide, and today we're going to be doing the Serpent's Fang Senna. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit about the team comp. So as you guys can see, we do have a double ADC bot lane this time. So we don't have like a Senna with like a mage or like a tank, which is not the ideal way to play Senna because double ADC bot lane is really squishy. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I simply wanted to play Senna, so I just picked her in double ADC. But normally this is not a very good idea, and I don't recommend doing it at all. However, thankfully for us, we do have a very tanky team because we do have Shen in the top lane, we do have a jungle, Xin Zhao, and we also have Gragas, who is going to be a really solid front line for us two ADC. So we do have 3 frontliners, so it's not all that bad. Alright, so now we're going to talk about why are we going for Serpent's Fang Senna. So why are we going for Serpent's Fang Senna? Well, obviously there is a Sett in the enemy team who has a huge shield. So it's going to really counter the Sett. And then we also have Nautilus, who has a shield on his W, not very significant. It's mainly to counter the Sett. Now I have played Serpent's Fang Senna into teams where there is so much shielding you would not believe it. I have played into a team where there was like a Sett jungle, a Shen top, and like I think it was like some enchanter support. I think it was like Karma support or something like that. Like there are so many like shields on the enemy teams that it's insane. And like an Echo mid, I think. So there were like so many shields on that team, it was insane. And I played like the Serpent's Fang Senna against them. Now unfortunately that game didn't go too well, but this game did. So I'm gonna of course show this game where we actually did well. And we're also going to, of course, show how the Serpent's Fang can actually counter Gargoyle enchants and also, of course, just general Sett's shielding and Nautilus as well. So, the item build goes as follows. So first up, we obviously get the Spectral Sickle. Now this is really obvious because, of course, we want to get that support item to poke and just to get gold when we poke, of course, and to increase how much gold we have. So, but before we get into that, here, of course, we have a fight going on. So we flash forward to kill the Lucian. And Nal's trying to make his getaway. I try a blind W, but I miss. I see Kaisa here. I pop the heal to make sure she doesn't die and to also help the chase. And we actually end up picking up the double. Now, of course, I don't mean to KS the Kaisa or anything like that, but the first kill couldn't be secured by her anyway. And the second kill, my slow auto attack happened to actually get the kill. So we do end up picking up a double. So of course we do have the support item as the first item, and as you guys can see, we now get a tier and longsword. So the first item we're gonna build is still gonna be the mana beam. We're not gonna rush Serpent's Fang as a first item, because that isn't really very good as a first. Actually, it is really good as a first item, but if we go for that first and we go for like mana beam second, mana beam is gonna take way too long to charge. So we go for Mana Mune first, then we go for Serpent's Fang. Although in between we can also get Executioner's Calling if we do need that. But yeah, we go for Serpent's Fang after we go for Mana Mune, and then we then build situationally, like we might build Divine Sunderer, maybe a Black Cleaver, or maybe just complete the Maul Reminder. We'll have to see the situation of the game, of course, because Senna's build generally is relatively situational. Like sometimes you go for Black Cleaver first, sometimes you go for Divine Sunderer first. Kind of depends on how tanky the enemy team is and how much AD you have in your team, etc. So it really kind of depends. But if you're going for Serpent's Fang, go for it early, don't go for it late. It's really not worth it to pick up Serpent's Fang too late. So you do want to get it early enough, which is what we're doing in this particular game. So enough talking about the build and talking about Serpent's Fang. We're gonna just discuss the gameplay, and we're just going to talk about what happens as it goes along. Alright, so obviously at this stage, the issue here is that with Spectral Sickle, the issue here is, alright, by the way, that ult downtown was great because it did give them the shield and allow Gragas to pick up a double kill when he was getting dived under tower. If not, he would have died if you look at its HP right now. So anyways, the problem with Spectral Sickle is that not every lane is really safe to poke. Like look at this lane, there's a Lucian Nautilus. Like if I get hooked, I'm going to be in deep trouble. Probably going to get just killed instantly by the Lucian. So I can't really step up to do my auto Q auto combo that we discussed in the Senna complete guide, which is what you really want to do to proc your Kraken Slayer. But unfortunately, we can't really do that with the Nautilus there, because if we do that, we're going to lock ourselves into our auto attack and Q animation. We're essentially going to root ourselves for a good amount of time, and that basically guarantees Nautilus is going to land the hook, and basically guarantees that we'll die. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do in this sort of like kill lanes where you cannot get caught is to just queue through the minions and poke them with your Q. So this is generally going to leave you at 2 to 3 stacks of your Spectral Sickle, but really it cannot be helped unless you can get into range to like auto attack people or whatnot. But as you guys can see, even despite just queuing through the minions and not doing the auto, I actually have evolved it into the Black Mist Scythe already under 5 minutes. So it still really isn't all that bad, and we also picked up the Mana Mune and the boots already. So it's really good for us. If you take a look at our goal, we do have comparable goal to the Kai'Sa and more goal than pretty much the rest of our team, aside from Gragas. Now, of course, I do know you can't actually see Gragas' goal, neither can I, so we can't actually really tell how much he has exactly, but yeah. So the first dragon has, of course, spawned. Everybody reset, everybody is onto the first dragon. Here, we're just going to destroy the enemy's ward, of course, before we do that, warding over the wall and destroying the blast plant to ensure that they cannot easily get into the pit. Here, Nautilus comes in from the top, and you can see the whole enemy team is actually rotating here. They do pop the control ward down into the dragon pit, so they can't see what's up. Rengar jumps in, gets exhausted by the Kai'Sa, and basically just gets instantly one-shot by everybody. My team secures the dragon, and I ult across the team to ensure that they get the shield. Shen does come in through the ult, hits the taunt onto the Lucian, and we are basically going to just finish him off like so. So we end up getting, Xinjiao ends up getting a triple kill. And basically, we get the dragon and we get 4 kills with only the Kai'Sa dying, which is of course a trade that you would take any day of the week. In the meantime though, Sett is collecting a couple of plates down in the bot lane, so that's the only kind of drawback of what has happened so far. And I also managed to pick up a plate in the top lane, so it really isn't all that bad. Actually, I'm going to be able to pick up 2 plates because Nautilus isn't actually going to be able to stop me. So at this point in time, I have 600 more gold in my ADC. I am of course 2, 0, and 6, whereas she is 0, 1, and 5. And I also picked up that 2 plates, of course, which basically gave me 300 gold. So here I'm going back. I have actually picked up the Executioner's Calling first, because I do think that cutting the healing of the enemy team is going to be really, really good for us. And also something to note is that Rengar on the enemy team has actually gone for the Serpent's Fang as a first item, which I think is actually not a bad idea, considering Kai'Sa has shield on ultimate, my ult can shield everybody. Xinjiao doesn't actually have any shielding, but Shen ult has a huge shield as well. So Spectral Sickle is really good into my team as well. But the only issue with Rengar building that is that he's a very single target, so you cannot actually apply it to everybody at one shot, whereas I can, using something like my Q to apply it on the entire enemy team at once. So regardless, we're going to head back over to the lane here. There's sort of a little scuffle over the Skull Crab. We managed to push Lucian off of it, and Kai'Sa is able to go and pick up the Skull Crab for herself. So here, I'm just going to go back to the lane, wait for Kai'Sa to come over so that my support item is active. Actually, I didn't evolve it into the Black Mist Scythe in 5 minutes. I don't know what I was talking about. I evolved it into the second tier item, which I can't really remember what it is called. But anyways, it is no big deal really how long you take to really evolve this, or I can't say it's no big deal, because it is a big deal to get like 40% reduction on your enchant, but I would say that it's not worth risking your life to stack your support item. The much better way is to just do it slowly. Here I queue through the tower to actually get a stack onto the Nautilus, and here I'm ulting down to try to help my team out in the fight in the mid lane, but ends up nothing too much is happening. Both teams disengage. And yeah, so here I'm using my E a lot to of course charge my Mana Mune faster, and also just in general just spamming my spells in general just to prop my support item and also to stack up the Mana Mune. Alright, so here pretty much both teams are pretty much just gathered in the mid lane. Lucian is pushing top lane in the meantime. Xinjiao is going to stop him, and nothing too much is really happening here. Honestly, it's just kind of the neutral game, nothing too much is happening. Xinjiao engages onto Lucian and does pick up the kill onto Lucian. I get the root onto Rengar. I managed to get my combo in. I flash forward to finish her off, but Kai'Sa had ult, so I actually didn't need to flash there. Kai'Sa had him finished, so kind of wasted my flash there, but it's alright. Technically not really, but you know, we're gonna look at the bright side of the situation instead. So here, I actually ward. I was actually trying to heal the Xinjiao with my Q, but I think I actually end up picking up the red buff with it. So I do apologize to him, as in I did say I'm sorry there. Although, I mean, Xin Zhao is really fat. He's 4-1 and 1. Although the red buff isn't too bad on me either because I'm 2-0 and 7 and I'm also doing really well. So it's not the worst case scenario in the world. Thankfully, it's not like I'm a mage who stole his red buff or something like that. So not too bad. Alright, so now we back and now we get the Serpent's Fang. So from here on out, we can actually see what the Serpent's Fang can do. So we don't actually go for the boot enchant because as you guys can see, we don't have the support item fully stacked up yet. So it doesn't really matter whether we have the boot enchant or not. As in, we don't really have to necessarily rush it for the purposes of benefiting from the support item. Here, we're just going to clear out mid wave and get mid lane priority because the dragon is coming up in about 40 seconds. So we're going to try to prep for the dragon, push out the mid lane, push out the top lane, etc. And here my team kind of on the wrong side of the map to contest the dragon here. Herald is also spawning at the same time, so but of course Infernal Dragon is more important than second Herald in my opinion. So I think we should be going for the dragon. 20 seconds left on the clock for the dragon to spawn. Kaisa is pushing out the top wave. I'm gonna go with Gragas to just clear out the mid lane. And here we're just pinging for dragon. Xin Zhao is kind of still doing his Krugs, so it's not really the most ideal. Thankfully, he does decide to actually come up for the dragon, not right on spawn, but yeah. So Rengar ends up face checking the bush here, forced to pop his flash and his ultimate, and he cannot really re-engage on the Kaisa because he doesn't really know where my team is. Turns out my team is actually on the Herald. Here I have no idea how I don't die. Just look at this. So Shen gives me the huge ultimate. I ult as well across the team. Kaisa goes in and gets the kill. Lucian comes in with the culling. I'm gonna dodge that out. I get the root onto Nautilus, allowing Kaisa to flash forward and pick up the double kill. Lucian dives and goes all in onto me, but somehow doesn't actually end up killing me. I really have no idea how. And my team ends up picking up the kill. So here I'm gonna finally go for the boot enchantment because we finally do actually have the Black Mist Scythe, and yeah, we do also end up picking up the dragon, so that's also another thing that's great. And yeah, so here we're just gonna go over to the bot lane. I see a lot of cannon minions, which basically means I'm gonna get a lot of guaranteed souls, so I'm just gonna do that, grab myself the souls, and I believe I can get my boot enchantment, which is why I'm backing. So I end up getting the redemption, of course, for the good of the team. So Senna of course can build redemption, can build the protect enchant, and can also build more selfish enchants like Quicksilver or stasis. But in this match I didn't really feel that I needed the stasis. Now I know that there is like a Rengar and there's like Lucian and all that, but aside from the last fight, they haven't really been able to get onto me the whole match. And the last fight, the only reason why they managed to do that was because my team was on the other side of the map doing the Herald, so really there wasn't really a front line. So it didn't quite work out for me because of that. But in a general normal fight where it's not just me and Kaisa, they shouldn't be able to really get onto me because of our 3 frontliners. So I don't really think I need to actually get myself a stasis in this particular match. So I'm gonna of course help my team out with the redemption, and I can spam the redemption if we get takedowns, which with my team this ahead should be very doable. We're 10k gold ahead, so the match, you know, pretty much is I wouldn't say done at this point, but you know, unless we make some huge throw plays, we should have it in the bag. So Lucian has to even pop the culling to clear the wave. So Lucian doesn't actually have ult anymore. We just get the wave in and we're just gonna back off because the whole enemy team is of course rotating to top and we don't want to get ourselves caught out. So here we can back and of course buy. So here I think we're gonna go for Divine Sunder. Yep, we are. So we do get the most important component of that, which is the Sheen of the Divine Sunder. So we do pick up the Sheen, and of course we're just gonna head back out. It's gonna be a real long time before we can get Divine Sunder because it's gonna be like about 2,500 or so gold to get Divine Sunder after picking up the Sheen. But yeah, so here we're in the mid lane. We're just gonna clear out the mid lane. Now as I said, if no one is really nearby the farm and you need to push the wave or something like that, it's okay to farm. Now I see a fight happening down in the bot lane, so I'm gonna like rotate on over. Looks like they actually do have the Sett. I actually out over to try to help them out in case they need it. Ahri actually comes on over. Xin Zhao engages onto the Ahri. Ahri forced to pop the ultimate to actually run away, and Xin Zhao goes back in again. Here I get the double root, and we are able to finish off the Rengar, I believe. He does actually end up getting the kill onto the Xin though, so he did sacrifice his life to trade 1-for-1. Considering you're behind, I think trading 1-for-1 is good. Shen hits the taunt on Ahri, and I hit the W, and the W before the root even triggers ends up getting the last hit on Ahri. Here I pop the redemption just to heal out the Shen and myself by a little bit. Nautilus whiffs the engage, and here we're just gonna back off. I hit the root onto the Lucian so that he cannot chase anymore. Shen pops the plant, which is not a good idea when you're on the retreat, because the plant does give you slow movement speed. I do get slowed by the plant, but thankfully no one is really there to follow up. So here, Nautilus looks like he's by himself, but we don't know where the Lucian is. So here I'm just being cautious. I'm trying to attack the Nautilus without putting myself in too much danger. Nautilus hits the hook, which actually is kind of a big bait because Nautilus cannot actually damage me by himself. So here I get the Serpent's Fang Venom onto the Sett so that he cannot have too large of a shield. Look at that, his shield is really tiny for a Sett shield at maximum grit. So here we do get the kill onto the Sett, and we also get a couple of souls for our efforts. Ahri has managed to respawn and is back to defend the tower, but not too much that she can really do. I think Kai'Sa could have ulted in to kill her there if she really wanted to. She does have ult, exhaust, and flash up, but no need to, you know, be so greedy for that kill. We're now going to rotate over to Baron and just pick up the Baron. So really textbook match here by me and my team. Pick up the Baron, and we're going to recall, and then we can probably go for the Dragon and force the enemy team to fight us. And if they lose the fight against us, we get the Dragon and we get the game as well. So we're just gonna see how what happens here. If they don't contest, we do get the Dragon for free, and we can use the Baron to, of course, just continue pushing. So we have also picked up the Divine Sunder already. So we're 3-0 and 14 now. Our goal is no longer like really that high compared to the rest of our team, who has, of course, overtaken us by a lot. However, we are still almost full build. Only really need to complete the Mole Reminder. And I actually think if you reach full build, it is worth it to sell the support item to get another full item, provided you do have enough gold to get the full item and not just the item components. So here we are able to pick up the Mountain Dragon basically without any contest, although now the Nautilus is in the area and so is the Rengar, and Kai'Sa as well as Xin is on the chase for the both of them. So here I'm just trying to use the Baron to push the mid lane to get the wave in so we can actually pick up some inhibitors. Because really, your team can be losing really badly, but if you still have inhibitors up, I think you still have a decent chance to come back into the game. It's only when you start losing inhibitors that it becomes really difficult because of how much like minion pressure there is onto you. So here I ult to give Kai'Sa the shield. Kai'Sa picks up the kill on Lucian, picks up a double onto the Ahri, and picks up a triple onto the Rengar. Here I come over to apply the Serpent's Fang onto the Sett to ensure he cannot come up with a big shield, which is exactly what happens. And we are able to use the Baron buff to, of course, end the game. Even just popping the redemption just for fun. Why not? We get triple inhib, and here why not just flash forward and get a little bit of extra damage onto the Nautilus just for fun, and we do end up picking up the victory there. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and goodbye.